Hello, everybody, and welcome to MangaPod. We're a weekly podcast in which we all get together after we read all or part of a manga, and then we discuss it with friendship, love, and lots of spoilers. This week, we are talking My Hero Academia, Boku no Hero Academia, all sorts of the academia. It's wonderful, it's amazing, very underrated series. Probably haven't ever heard of it. We're talking chapters 121 through 159.
Yes.
I am Happily Ann, your host. With me are my two lovely co-hosts, as well as two very special guests. And let's go around and have everybody introduce themselves, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dodger.
And I hate this manga, and I'm really upset that we're talking about it. But I guess I have to do what I have to do.
Making the sacrifice.
I hate you so much.
Everybody,
I
my
know
name
it's
is
a
Lou.
goof, but I hate it. I'm sorry, Luke.
I don't like it.
My
I don't
name
like
is
hearing it
It's
out
like-
loud.
It's like that one time I was dragging anime on Twitter, and Dodger's like, let's do it together. And my next tweet was, hey, Boku no Hero is a weak man's Naruto. And she got
I was like, how dare you? Lou.
My name is Lou, and since no one talks about it, I guess we have to talk about this manga. I mean, being hipsters and all, we gotta do this shit.
Oops.
Hipsters. I guess I'll go
Hipster.
next. Hello, everyone. I am MissArt, back to talk more of Boku no Hero Academia with you lovely people here on MangaPod. So thanks for inviting me back. And yeah, absolutely, just what is this series? We haven't talked about it at all. It's not hype enough, so I'm glad we can at least give it some attention that it deserves.
Very indie.
I didn't know I was on this podcast with a bunch of heathens, with a bunch of Neanderthals. I hate this. I hate this podcast already. But no, my name's Pluto, and I guess I'm the contrarian because I'm just gonna say I love Boku no Hero. I can't get enough of it, and screw all of you.
Pluto doesn't like goofs. No goofs allowed. Not
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
You
zero.
say
Goofs.
as you're wearing a Gohan shirt? Please. Please.
Be quiet.
If you guys have never joined us for a manga pod before, what we like to do is give you a short spoiler-free description of the manga that we read. Again, you probably know it, but we're going to do it anyway. That'll be read by lovely Pluto. And then we'll give you our spoiler-free recommendations, whether we think you will spend time going, whether we think you should, not whether we think you will. But whether
You must.
spend time going to read this manga or not. That way, if it sounds like something you're interested in, you will not be spoiled till we get to spoiler section. We do ask you not post any spoils for anything until we get to spoiler section. Then nothing after 159. And also, we want to give a spoiler alert that what we are going to be talking about goes past where the recent anime season has ended. So it will be spoiling future episodes if the anime stays as faithful to the manga as it has so far.
And it better.
So yep. Again, don't.
We're gonna riot.
All right, so let's go ahead and do our description, please.
Okay, the synopsis for Boku no Hero. One day, a 4-year-old boy came to a sudden realization: the world is not fair. 80% of the world's population wields special abilities known as quirks, which have given many the power to make their childhood dreams of becoming a superhero a reality. Unfortunately, Izuku Midoriya was one of the few born without a quirk, suffering from discrimination because of it. Yet, he refuses to give up on his dream of becoming a hero, determined to do the impossible. Izuku sets his sights on the elite hero training academy, UA High. However, everything changes after the Fire Nation attacks. Everything changes after a chance meeting with the #1 hero and Izuku's idol, All Might. Discovering that his dream is not a dead end, the powerless boy undergoes special training, working harder than ever before. Eventually, this leads to him inheriting All Might's power, and with his newfound abilities, gets into his school of choice, beginning his grueling journey to become the successor of the best hero on the planet. Boom.
Woo! And then the Fire Nation attacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
You read it out of order. It was a flub.
Are we not on spoiler territory yet? I did like the Avatar crossover.
This is a
to Boku no
crossover
Hero.
with Avatar. Yeah, written
Yeah,
by the same
yeah.
people.
Yep,
Yeah.
There's 100% a fanfic about that.
I bet so.
I mean,
There better be an
Todoroki
Avatar
could-
AU.
Todoroki could be the Avatar in this
Zuko.
universe
Sure.
because
Oh, I was gonna say he's got the exact
Yeah.
same scar as Zuko.
That's
not
true.
only that,
True.
but he has 2 elements that he controls.
Mhm,
Oh
mhm.
fuck. Oh
It's
my
okay.
god.
Boku no Hero is so
Mind
incredible.
blowing.
Hirokoshi, fun fact, Hirokoshi said he had no idea what Avatar was when he came up with the character of Todoroki. So it's just a
Interesting.
happy
Really?
very
Oh.
happy coincidence. It's not a nod or a reference or anything.
Aw. That's pretty cool then. Or he's lying.
Yeah.
What a fucking liar.
No, he's a sweet little boy. He used to be very genuine in all of his interviews and stuff. Spoiler free recommendations. Who would like to go first? Pluto?
My recommendation is yes. Is that it? Can I just say it? Yes. Boku no Hero is something that I really, really, really fuck with. I love the characters. I think one of my favorite things about it is I think every character is given their dues, and they are fleshed out well, and their quirks are always fun, and they're all given similar attention, I think, to what Deku is given across the kind of entire thing, and I really like that about it. People have, crazy fandoms about every single character that's like part of his class, and I really like that about the manga itself. And then the interactions between the characters and the fights and the action and stuff is top tier in my book. And it has like we'll get into spoilers, but like it has one of my favorite characters that like I just love. He's just the best, and we'll talk about that. So my recommendation on Boku no Hero is just a wholehearted like yes, fuck yes, do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, just ditto. Everyone says ditto.
Well,
Ditto.
I was gonna say, like,
What he said.
the first time that we read this, we actually were all like, eh.
Yeah.
I
I literally
all-
was going to say
all of
that
us.
too.
It's
Yeah.
like the first
Yeah.
three volumes.
Yeah,
like,
we were like,
Uh-huh.
I don't really care about any of the kids. Like, I don't really care about what's about to happen in this story, but I guess it was picking up near the end, and everybody was like, it gets so good, you fuckos, and they were right. It's great.
How far
We
did
agree.
did
You
3
know what?
volumes take you?
It took us to the tournament.
Yeah, right before
Right
the
at-
tournament.
right
Sports
be-
tournament.
Like
Yeah,
right before
and
the
so
start of it.
I will agree with the people who commented saying it does get better and it makes sense, but we got a lot of hate on that manga.
It wasn't the first time.
But but I was gonna say, like, going off of that, when it was first coming out, there were so many people before it had an anime talking about how Boku no Hero was kind of the first like shonen manga that had the same feeling of like Naruto and Bleach and all those that were coming out at the same time before. So that Boku no Hero was like becoming its own big three. And I can totally 100% see how that is accurate.
Yeah.
Just because it does everything like the shonen genre does well, and it just takes it to another level. And so it's a really cool to see not only how strong the story is and the characters and the powers and everything, how consistent it is, just the reach that the manga and the anime has had so far, in the not just in the anime community, but just in media and people and all sorts. Like, it's so big, and I think it's really cool to see something like that happening in an anime or manga series recently that you haven't really seen explode like that. And I think it's totally deserves it too.
It's especially big on TikTok.
Yeah,
Check
it
out
is.
TikTok. Everyone on TikTok is doing a Boku no Hero cosplay.
It's true.
It's insane.
It's true.
And that's what the kids are into. They're into ticking their talks right now, and it's
Oh.
it's wild.
Even in the ads,
Ticking
even
the
in the
top.
TikTok ads, it's
Yeah.
fucking Himiko dancing and looking at me like a psychopath, and I'm like, okay,
yeah.
apparently I'm being targeted right now.
On the note of small children liking this, I work with small children, and a lot of them they love fucking My Hero Academia. Like,
Oh,
they
nice.
are so in on this, and it's like they'll ask me, they're like, "Mister, have you heard of My Hero Academia?" And the thing is, I have a lanyard that I wear to work every single day that I have different My Hero Academia pins on, and I have to like show them this lanyard and complain about the fact that they're
Yeah.
not observant.
Of course, I know you.
I
tried,
look.
right? You
I had
tried.
my
Who do you think I am?
No, I ended up giving away a My Hero Academia poster that I had in my classroom to a
Aw.
kid
Aw.
that they earned it. The condition was they had to excel on a district mandated test that I had to give them. And I said, all right, here's what we'll do. If you can score, I think it was like 80%, which was an unreasonable number for him. I'm like, on this, you can have it. Like you can have it, and you know, it'll be good. Like you can take it down in front of the other kids that are your friends that also like the show, and you can
Rub
brag
it in
about
their
it.
face.
Perfect. Yeah. And he's like, all right, cool.
Yes.
So like, he nailed it.
And he
I'm like, all right.
crushed it.
Yeah, you crushed
Woo.
it. So like,
Good
You
for
caused
him.
a
Way to
child.
motivate.
You caused a child to go plus ultra, to go
Yes.
further beyond his limits. Like you are All Might. to him.
Animator anime is a great
Good job,
motivator.
Luke
So
Sensei.
Aw.
and yeah, so I really like the show. Not only from the perspective of like, yes, it's a great piece of media, but I think there's a segment of the community that is actually genuinely wholesome and nice about it.
Mhm.
You know, that's not to say it doesn't have its toxic fandom,
For sure.
but I think that I see way less of that than I did back when people were having arguments about the big three.
Did you guys know that Kachen is abusive and should die?
Oh.
That's what I read on the internet.
And people
It
who
must
ship
be
it
true
should
then.
also know that they are abusive.
If you like him, you are also abusive, and you should also die. Anyways.
So wholesome.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And just calling back to like the first chapters that we read, I think part of the success of this series is that in the beginning, I think you can tell the mangaka felt a lot of pressure on his shoulders to like step into that role of the big three. But where things really started to get enjoyable is when the mangaka started to make the story more self-aware and to make its story not take itself too seriously. So you have these great characters and this great plot and this great action, but this humor that like comes through in between the panels, and I think that translates really well in the anime as well.
Mhm.
I think that was like the key part of its success, because like with Kachan in the very beginning, like his character was taken seriously but his character is so ridiculous and amazing that the moment you stop taking him seriously is ironically when he gets close to your heart. And
Mhm.
so, it's just been masterfully done. And it was such a joy to like return back to the story in manga form
Yeah.
and just like see that coming through in the narrative. It's like, yes, this reminds me why I love this show so much. I mean, it's okay, I guess. But no, I think it's been great. And I've loved how well that, I think maybe it's because in the day and age we are and with syndication, it has been really nice to see how quickly people have latched onto My Hero Academia and how quickly it's grown. And I think it is because they did everything right with getting the manga out to the Western audience, with getting the anime out quickly to Western audiences. And it's been a joy to see it grow. And so, yeah, I'm happy to be talking about it again with you guys here, so we can continue to do our little part.
Yeah.
Make it grow like it needs our
My
help.
Hero Academia.
Awesome. Dodger, did you give yours? I feel like
Yeah.
you did, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great. You
Um,
should read it.
Yeah, go read it.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into spoiler section. Now's the time to take your leave if you do not want to be spoiled. Otherwise, we are going to talk up until chapters 159. Anything after that, if you spoil it, you'll be banned, timeout, goodbye, because it's serious stuff. So, bye. If you don't want to be spoiled, countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All Might is
Oh
God.
my God.
All Might is always
With
God.
Mirio in a close second.
With Miria.
Yeah, Mirio's close.
Oh God damn it! I love him so much.
Yeah,
Oh
sorry.
He's
Just,
a good boy.
just get it out. Just get it
He's a
out.
real
Put it
good
out.
boy.
Precious
Get it out.
He's the best boy. I was
Best boy.
talking with Brooke and I don't know if he's ever been on here before, but he should. Brooke and I's good friend G Mart. We would talk pretty much every week about like One Piece and Boku no Hero and stuff like that, because we're reading it as it comes out. And he told me about how everyone thinks Mirio's this like Mary Sue. Like I had never heard that term before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Until G Mark brought it up, and now I hear it all the
Mary
time.
Sue.
People talk about other characters being Mary Sues, like in Game of Thrones and stuff. But I like he is so good and wholesome and amazing. And in the beginning, I could see that comparison, because he comes off just as the most powerful OP person ever, basically. But the arc that he goes through, especially in this little bit that we read, is
Yeah.
just like so fucking good. And it's just like, and I don't know how much and how specific you want to be just yet, but like everything that happens to him is just so like.
Yeah, we're in spoiler section, dude. Just fucking blow
it out.
Like
Go for it, Pluto.
the fact that he is just such a positive force, and he's so powerful. First off, it makes me really excited to see they talk about how his power was like could have been awful, right? Like could have been like he just dies, right? Because it's so dangerous. But he learned to master it over the course of UA and became so good. It makes me super excited to see where Deku and his friends are in 3 years' time when they actually get to know their powers on a level that Mirio knows his powers. But then the arc of how, is it Night Eye? I think Night Eye? Or, yeah. I keep wanting to say Hawkeye or whatever, but that's completely, that's a different crossover.
Wrong universe.
But Night Eye's whole, the whole story of how like he thinks that Mirio should have gotten
All Might's power.
All Might's power, right? Is like, yeah, because like when I was reading it, I was like, yeah, like he is the choice. Like he should have been the choice, like objectively. But obviously,
I think that that's absolutely why, like those sort of people who are gonna read this and be like, oh, Mirio's just like what? He's just like so perfect, right? But that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Is he like worked his ass off, is incredibly powerful with a quirk that could have been terrible, like has an amazing personality, is extremely charismatic, like all of these things that absolutely that ticks all of the boxes of like, yeah, you should be the next All Might, right? Like absolutely.
yeah.
And
But
I
then
think
what happens?
right.
Oh my god, my heart.
I wanna dial it back to to his power. That shit is terrifying. Like once he started going into, not only do I fall into the earth, like I go blind, I can't hear anything,
Can't breathe.
and you just feel the sensation of falling. That shit is terrifying.
I was like, how the fuck did he live this long? Like if he's been doing this for years, right? Like, oh my god.
I
That's a great
love
thing.
the like montage of him going through the trial and error of learning his quirk, and there's the ones of him like falling to the ground and his friends like no.
Yeah, I think they showed it in the anime in the last episode where he does the like, he's like, if I want to go through a wall, I have to like activate one leg and like step through and then like activate my body but keep that other leg solid, and then it's like a whole thing, like everything is multiple steps. But from him training and learning, it just looks like I like when they talk about how like it looks like teleportation, like they think his quirk is teleportation, and it's like no, he just has utilized a completely different quirk in such a unique way that it appears to be teleportation,
And I think his arc is so strong in what we read that I feel like it overshadows like all of this other stuff that happens, because there's a few there's like two other characters have major stuff that happens to them. So we have Kirishima, who we finally get like his in-depth a little bit more
Gets a moment
about him. He gets a moment. And so what do you guys feel about his moment? Because I love Kirishima. I think he's a precious
He's such a
little
sweet
cinnamon
boy.
roll.
He's a little cinnamon roll. It's
Learning
true.
how he got his scar, I was like, oh, you poor bean. It's like, yeah. So he had his little moment. What were your guys' thoughts on him?
I thought it was well deserved. Like, it's been a while since he's had the spotlight on him, I feel like.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, when it was happening and I was reading it and I was like, oh, yes, we're finally getting some backstory on this precious cinnamon roll. And just seeing all that, I thought it was like about time.
Mm-hmm.
And his like form when he started to like level up, I thought design wise that looked really cool too.
God, I love it.
It was so cool.
I think like it was in this section of reading where like I really started to appreciate him. Like he always seemed like a fun supporting character, but not a lot of depth, not a lot of attention really given to him. He was just kind of someone who was just really fun when you got to look at them, because that's who he is. He's just this very straightforward and kind of aggressive personality, and like to see the depth that was that we got when, you know, like his character was finally fleshed out. I don't know, like I think it adds a lot of layers, and it makes me wonder like what other characters are going to see that type of development, because it doesn't necessarily have to be limited to him. I'm sure there are other members of that class, and now that they've kind of incorporated the second class as well, that like in what ways are those characters going to be fleshed out?
Totally. There are lots of characters in Class A where I'm like, please just give me some, like at this point now, I feel like I love this character in such a one-dimensional way, right? Like Mina. Yeah. I love Mina. I have no reason to love Mina. Like she pops in every now and then and is like, here's some acid, here's something quirky. Yeah. And I'm like, I love her. But like, yeah. And for Kirishima, like for me, I always thought that he was such a nice foil to have involved, because he was always like one of the stronger, bashier kids in the class, but he was also like very sweet and really, you know, he just wanted to be friends with everybody, which is the opposite of like Todoroki and Bakugo, right? Like they don't give a fuck, you know? So like to have somebody like Kirishima who's like, I am strong, and I'm like, you know, like maybe intimidating to some people, but I don't want to be, we could be buds, you know? Like I thought because of that, he was very necessary. And so to get him fleshed out, I think is awesome. Yeah.
Pluto, do you have thoughts on Kirishima? You're just thinking about your boy.
Yeah.
No, I was video on mine.
I was trying to actually find the specific moment in the manga so I could refresh myself, because I read like the last bit of kind of the reading to refresh myself on that. And I remember this is the circumstances with Fat Gum and like the alley and the guy getting like the super knives basically.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I remember.
There's that one. Yeah.
I remember the gist of it, and I remember it being really. Oh, I actually just found it. So
there you go.
I was trying to.
Dude, side note, Fat Gum. Hell yeah.
Fat Gum.
Fat Gum's great.
It's so good.
I love that he had the cliche thing of I'm just super duper fat and then I will become skinny if I use all this power.
Yeah.
I was like, shonen trope, but done so great. I love, and his character is so like awesome too. Just how like enthusiastic he is. It felt perfect to have Kirishima with him.
Yeah.
Good pairing there.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Is that it's not even just we have all of these students to learn about. They've also introduced tons of like accomplished heroes in the world that we're slowly starting to learn more about, you know? And pairing them with kids in the class where they have a good chemistry, like really helps.
Yeah. Man, Eraser is just getting knocked over all over the place. From the beginning.
It was painful to read.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
no.
I know. I was like, oh man, is this where Eraser meets his end? He's gonna be taken into the villains.
Yeah.
I refuse.
How did you guys feel about the whole story with Eri and all of that?
I mean, it was so hype. Like I was so into it. I felt like it took a little bit slow. There's definitely a breathing room between the end of like what we read last time and the real meat of what started this. I felt like it was very slow, and I think it was a necessary breathing room just because before that it was like boom, 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 boom. It's just a ton of stuff happened with the camp, and then Bakugo being kidnapped, and then Bakugo versus Deku, and like All Might's fight. Like so much happened that I think it needed to slow its pace a little bit more to kind of move into the Yakuza arc. But I dug it. I thought it was really well done. Just the intensity of specifically, I think, well, I don't know. I think the strongest part was best boy. Mirio.
Lemillion.
Yeah, Lemillion. I think it might be hyping up the entire thing just because of how strong his arc was in it.
Yeah.
But I thought he just like really carried the whole thing. But I enjoyed what I was reading the whole time too.
Yeah, I liked the uh, uh like the whole concept that like Mirio and Deku like ran into Eri and Overhaul like early, but like didn't realize.
I hate that scene so.
what
Like
was
I
going
love
on.
it, but I hate it.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Deku's like something is wrong.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but like can't
Mhm.
act on it. Oh my god, I hated that whole scene because I'm just like, save her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
Mm.
So, one thing that I think I appreciate about Mirio's arc is kind of how it parallels with Deku's, where while Mirio wasn't quirkless, he did have a quirk that was not a powerful quirk, and he found a way to make it his own.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that whole coming into being a hero. I really wish that like we would have read more. Like I would have gotten more information on Mirio.
Mm.
I feel like once his character gets fleshed out a bit more, be it through flashbacks or whatever, or from through exposition from other characters, like I feel that it'll really give us some perspective on Deku because ultimately that's who All Might chose.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I really like I look at Mirio as a fun and super interesting character, but I'm more curious as to how it's gonna play out for Deku's story.
Right.
Especially now if Mario's is like quirkless completely.
Mm.
Because like if he does his quirk was taken away completely, then it's like, well, that's what Deku was, and Deku has All Might's power now, whereas Mirio should have gotten it. So like what would have happened?
Right.
So that whole guilt thing might be going on there too. So I agree. It'll be interesting to see what it does to Deku's storyline and how they intertwine together. And if he does like can't get his power back, that's really sad. It made me really upset that he got hit with that bullet. It
Yeah.
made me very upset.
Aaron
it
got
was
upset.
it was such a good scene. The
Yeah.
whole thing.
Because I
think
think
that just-
I'm definitely not the only one who, when you read it, you're like, no. Like,
That didn't
no.
happen, right?
I thought, oh, he was wearing like armor maybe. So the bullet didn't actually hit him, didn't get through. And
Right.
then no, it just slowly you realize that no, he did lose it, which
Yeah.
makes it so much more traumatic and more just hits the point of like how
Oh.
Uh,
I thought he was just like staring at his computer for a long time, but I guess
Very hyper focused.
yeah.
I did too.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Look at us. Yeah, this is a good
Come back,
layout.
Pluto.
this is super fancy.
Oh look, it's like Brooke, it's half your head,
Oh.
half mine.
I know. Wait. Oh, here we go. Okay, hold up your hand, and then we.
Wait, this hand.
Oh,
Wait, which hand? Oh, here.
yeah, and then we high five. Other way. Bam.
I'm so confused.
Okay. Oh, okay, you can do it.
I was trying to watch on like the Twitch screen on accident. I was going behind.
Oh my god.
Oh, Pluto says the power in my
Power went
neighborhood just
out.
went out.
What?
Oh, that
no.
sucks.
Oh, here. Don't worry, guys. In Pluto's screen, all four of us are there.
That's true.
Oh, that works.
Wait. Okay, guys.
We'll just
No,
squeeze
just
in.
keep-
It's
I'll
just
fix-
like
I'll
Lee's
fix it
mustache.
real
A little
fast.
bit.
I'll fix it real fast.
I'm just gonna.
Oh god.
Pluto, no.
Squash into the little.
Blurter.
Okay.
Yeah, keep
Pluto,
talking.
come back.
Keep talking,
Your
guys. I'll fix
planet.
this.
But yeah, so it just and like especially having his friend have that little moment before too, it just kind of reinforced and made it even sadder for Mirio's arc to have it end like that. Though his friend, okay, so his friend is a precious little Precious little bean, so cute.
Sure, yeah,
But
of
I
course.
thought his power was really weird
It is. It's super weird. And
compared to
I
like.
gotta tell you,
everything.
a lot of people are like, that power is fucking amazing. Like, if you look at the fandom, people are like, what an interesting power. And I'm like, is it?
It's not.
Is it really?
Like of all the powers,
Weird,
like
right?
I cannot think
So
of
he
another
turns
power
it-
that really took me out of the moment than that one. I don't
So-
know why. I don't know. If it's the chicken
he
wing or what.
yeah. I'm
Go ahead, Luke.
thinking, what if he finds like large cat meat, and then gets a fucking tiger claw and swipes the shit out of people? That could be so hype.
Sure.
And it's like, is it just like? No, what? Never mind.
Tentacles.
I
What if
almost
he
asked a
what-
really stupid question.
What if he eats a fossil and he turns into a dinosaur?
Yeah. I was
Like
my
fucking
question was,
Jurassic
does
Park.
it have to be edible?
Ah.
Like, does it have to be food? Can he eat like anything? And as long
I
as
don't
it
think
doesn't
that would
kill
be-
him, it turns him into whatever. So like, could he eat grass?
right.
And then he'd become grass.
That's a helpful superpower. I'm gonna make you
He can-
itchy.
He can eat a leek. He can eat a leek and turn into Farfetch'd.
Right.
Oh,
Perfect.
can he become a Pokemon?
Ooh.
Ooh, smooth Dukes.
Thank you. Oh
This is
shit. Fuck.
very
oh
pro.
god. Oh Jesus.
Not you.
Oh, come on.
What happened?
Hold on. It's fine. Everything's fine. Keep going.
What
Ah,
if he
there we
eats
go, I just got
tofu?
it.
Somebody asked.
What if he eats tofu?
Then
But the power of tofu.
he gets.
the power of
He's a
soy.
real soy boy.
Jesus.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, it's really bad. I hate myself.
No, that was good. That was really good.
I like that one. I like that one.
Dukes, what were you gonna say?
He's PETA friendly.
Mm.
I don't remember what I was gonna say, but he is a sweet precious bean.
Yes.
I think my one complaint about this arc, it's great. We didn't see the girls do anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
The girls didn't do
I was thinking
nothing.
that the whole time. It was like we had
Yeah.
Toga, like the one girl villain, come in, and then she really didn't do anything.
No.
And so all the girls, they were just like, oh, they were all fighting on the surface this whole time, and then they show up again, and it's to like get to the men.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
you have so
disappointing.
many. You have so many. They're all sidelined. Literally. It's like
I want a female character that is like, I just want one of the girls to be like on par in terms of like combat
Power.
abilities with
Yeah.
Mhm.
like that
Yeah.
would be something
That's
that
what
I
I was hoping for
Yeah.
with Big 3 girl.
yes.
Yeah.
But like,
Even she's
We
like
haven't seen
pushed
much of her.
aside.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, these are the big
Like-
3, the most powerful people in this whole school.
Here's the
And-
two dudes.
Yeah, here's the
Yeah.
2 dudes, and she can,
And then-
I don't know, we'll figure it out. like,
It's
okay.
so- yeah, I agree. That was it's one of the weakest things I think overall with the characters is always like the lady characters don't get nearly as much development or screen time or anything. Though I will say, the pronoun, the villain being like, you're getting the pronouns wrong of like the friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, if villains can get this figured out in this manga,
Then we can do it,
you can do it
do it
too.
too.
universe.
But yeah, that's the weakest I think is all the lady characters. Even when they do get introduced and hyped up, they don't get very much development or story arc or
Yeah.
anything, or it's just really fast.
Mm-hmm. I agree with Lou.
Uh,
More buff ladies, or at the very least, just more ladies that can hang, right?
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
More hanging ladies.
More hanging ladies.
Yeah. Sure.
Let's talk about about our Yakuza Chisaki.
Chisaki.
What do you guys?
What a
Oh,
bitch!
Dodger, you have.
I just hate him.
He is I don't know. I usually like the characters that have like the short black hair and evil eyes.
yeah.
But he was very like
Aaron's got a type.
standard. I do got a type. Usually it's more chaotic neutral. This guy just seemed to be kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
He seemed a little bit more one dimensional cliche in terms of villains and compared to what we've had so far. And
Yeah.
especially with all of his henchmen in comparison to the villain group.
Mhm.
They all like I remember some of their quirks, but they all looked so much alike, and I don't know if that was an intentional choice with the masks. But it was just hard to tell them apart for me. I had a lot of trouble being like, oh wait, didn't you just kill this guy? Oh no, this is a new one. Wait, what?
Yeah.
They just didn't stand out very much at all. And he just seemed so like evil for the sake of being evil when usually we get like a much more like three-dimensional character villains. And so having him come after everything that happened with Bakugo and One for All, I think I think it was going to be hard for any villain to like come up to speed for that.
Yeah.
But I just think he as a villain wasn't like real scary. I don't think.
They
I
all
never
felt
saw
like
them not
means to
be.
an end.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't
Yeah.
scary. It just felt like we need to
He
introduce
was
this
the
concept
catalyst
of here's
for
the
other
serum.
stuff to happen.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was like, okay, here's how the backstory involves of where we're getting this serum that takes away powers or enhances powers. Yeah, they just felt like more of a means to an end. So yeah, I got a little disinterested with the repetition of the character designs, even the way like when he was powering up Chisaki, like when he started like to merge like him and his henchmen, like I was like, that's a lot of black ink, but I don't know if it's really working for me.
Yeah.
And like his final form was interesting. Like I liked the skeletal features and that design looked cool. But that in between design, I was like, I don't know. I could tell the mangaka was just trying to come up with something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's really working. It's not translating so well.
Mm.
So yeah, and I mean they tried to give him like a little bit of a sympathetic backstory of like, oh, quirks are diseases. You know,
Right.
I'm just trying to cure it. So I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here, but yeah, it's not on the same level of One for All or the other villains we have gotten. So it's it felt more of a setup for the villain league and how they're going to use like the serums, you know, for their own means.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I will credit the mangaka with doing is you have a character who's entirely based on Yakuza and not going with the conventional Yakuza presentation.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
The
that's
straight
true.
Like
face,
the
black
slicked
suit.
back hair and the pinstripe suit and all that shit. Yeah, that is true.
Because they could have gone that route, and I think that would have been significantly less interesting to look at. At least there was a little bit of stylistic flair in the concept
The
of the
plague
design.
masks.
The problem was just how repetitive it was. I think if they would have stuck with the concept of okay, everybody is gonna have a mask, but find a different form for each mask, I think it would have worked a lot better.
I almost
And, like-
feel sorry.
No, you go.
All I was gonna say is I almost feel like because we had the Yakuza and we had League of Villains, right? And League of Villains did stand out as being more eccentric for sure, but I wonder if that was the point, and if it was, maybe they should have pushed the Yakuza to being more like just thugs, you know?
Yeah.
More Yakuza like.
Yeah.
Sure. Or yeah, just even just like more normal, like more like just people.
Conventional bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then it kind of like gets muddled. Like, were they trying to be League of Villains, like the whole thing? And so when it comes in, all you can think is, oh well, they aren't as good as League of Villains,
Right.
But instead of like thinking, oh, they're Yakuza, it's you just aren't as good.
I think that if they would have gone that route, then the Yakuza would have needed probably a more conventional like motivation, like more of gaining control and manufacturing a weapon that they can sell, like something like that,
Right.
as opposed to like loftier goals or loftier ambitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
What did you guys think about Eerie?
I love her.
She's
She's
pretty
cute.
precious.
Her
But she also
power is
kinda
really
felt like-
interesting.
Yeah, the power is really cool, but like her character herself kind of felt like I'd seen it before in the sense she like represented like the poor innocent child.
Innocence. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
literal embodiment of innocence at the heart of this little Yakuza arc.
For
So
sure.
in that way, but this mangaka's always done good about taking tropes and kind of making them his own. So even though we've seen the innocent child representing how terrible things are going for the world right now. Like even though we've seen that, I thought she was still really cute and I was still like, "Oh, precious baby, must save her." So I thought her character was effective for that reasoning. And she looked really cool when she was like getting out of control, like when she was
Yeah.
hyping up
Yeah.
So did
Midoriya. And I was like,
Deku.
"Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
god. At the end, Deku looked rad as hell, even though it was like his body's literally falling apart.
Yeah.
But he looked cool.
But you look cool doing
Yeah.
it, dude." Worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this felt kind of like a retrieval arc in a bit to
Yeah.
save the innocence. Literally
Yeah.
save the innocence.
It was literally saving the innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the like Deku's. I don't know if it was. That was another thing where like Deku looked so awesome. Like he looked so cool. That whole thing, I was so happy. Like he was doing Midoriya, he's being Deku. But then after like Midoriya, I was just like so into his arc that have Deku come in. I wasn't as into it, I think, as I would have been. But looking back on it, I'm still like, oh yeah, that was really fucking awesome. But I was still coming off of like his whole losing his
Yep.
quirk thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Night Eye, that was his name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know if he dead. Because I think it'd be
If he
great if he's
did.
dead. Because they haven't really committed to killing a hero real right? Yeah.
Night Eye, I have to say, Night Eye, I think, is the most boring character in this whole
Oh,
thing.
he's super
Yeah.
boring.
So
Yes.
boring.
There was one
Yeah.
fucking panel where like he's sitting at a desk and his hands are fucking huge, and it stressed me out so much.
It stressed you out.
They were giant. Hold on. So I actually read this on Viz's app through their service.
Me too.
And one thing that I did not expect was I did not expect them to like allow for screenshots, because a lot of the time those things don't do that. This is what I'm referring to.
Oh my god, his stamps. He could not have got into it thinking that a character who uses stamps, like,
Yeah.
is gonna
Seriously.
be back. But like, I don't know. His power seemed really. It seemed kind of like all over the place too.
Yeah.
Sometimes, where it's like, did he just have the "I can't change the future" or anything just so that Deku could say
That's
the whole, "I
literally-
did bend the
Oh my
future"? It's
God.
like,
Deku is the key to changing the future. Like, okay.
He is the chosen
Slow down.
one.
don't put Deku up. Like, we all know Deku and like believe in him, and we know he's the shonen protagonist, but don't go too
Yeah.
high.
Deku is
talking-
God.
Talking about that. So like there was like very clear foreshadowing, like very fucking blatant foreshadowing that All Might is gonna die at some point in the very near future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And
Yeah,
how do you
they're
guys
setting that
feel
up.
about that? Like, would you have preferred, like, let's say, like, I have not read beyond this. I haven't even seen the third season of the anime.
Right.
So, would you guys have preferred for this to be blindsided by an event like that happening, or are you glad that you're getting some foreshadowing now?
I think the foreshadowing kind of winds up serving a dual purpose, because we also get to see like the symbol of peace, right? We see this hero that's on top of it all, that seems untouchable, like falling apart. Not falling apart like physically, right? And kind of seeing it within the world what that means to the society. And so I think without that kind of like foreshadowing, or what you want to call it, that we're getting, we wouldn't have that kind of shift in the world. So I think it's important that it's there.
I feel like they have been foreshadowing it though. I feel like Night Eyes is just like a literal in your face, like it's going to happen. But
Yeah.
I feel like the way All Might's character has been shown and portrayed as we see him weakening, like instead of telling us, I think they've been showing us how All Might is degrading over time.
Mm.
So in this way, I feel like they're just stating the obvious again, because I think it was already made apparent. So for me, storytelling wise, like I think they've already done a good job of telling us without telling us that something is going to happen. He's going to die. So, and in a way, I feel like I could have gone without like the blatant, oh, foreshadowing, it's happening. Like, because they've already done that. And I would have been completely happy if they hadn't said it. And then we got like an action scene or something where All Might goes. And then it goes like, oh, it happened. In the back of my mind, I knew it was going to happen.
But
So,
like in terms of like what the story had been building up, at least for me, like it was kind of leading towards All Might's body just naturally breaking down. Like that's the story that I was expecting to be told. Not necessarily that he would die in battle, but that over time, like he would start to just fall apart. And the fact that now we have very clear, like defined, this is how shit is gonna happen. Like a new villain is gonna emerge and he's going to die that way. Like I feel like that's the mangaka narrowing down the possibilities as to how he could die. And that's the one downside to it is I would have preferred to not have that presented, because now whenever All Might is around any sort of antagonist, there's gonna be immediate like, no, this is when he's gonna die, as opposed to like the suspense of, well, what the hell is gonna happen?
I hope he doesn't die, or
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, because it's like,
sad. When he does die, I think we're all gonna.
I think everyone, the mentor, like
maybe
found
he
father
won't.
figure.
Guys,
oh my
Deku
gosh.
changed the future.
Oh, that's right.
Guys.
He bent the future.
Oh man, when they were putting him on like the thing to get into the ambulance, and he still had that huge fucking spike in him, I'm like, you would not be alive. The same thing happened with the Gene guy.
Yeah,
he got, like,
best
flicked
genist.
a huge hole, and then it's like, oh no, he's okay. I'm like, stop censoring this. It just reminds me of like one of those old Dragon Ball Z dubs where the
cool, they
plane
got senzu
exploded
beans.
and Chuzzy, oh, it's okay. I saw the parachutes. They're fine.
That's such a good comparison. Like, that guy's definitely dead. We're getting, turns out he's not dead. Oh, okay. Great. Glad to have that info.
Oh my goodness. Can we talk about art?
Yeah.
Sure.
Art? There was one panel when Deku had Eri and they were fighting against Shizaki, where he's like reaching out and it does the panel through his fingers. Like it skips the panel. I don't know. I stared at that for a very long time. I was just so impressed. I was so impressed with it, considering like where his art came from the first few volumes that we read. Like there were still times in this where it was kind of muddled about what was happening, especially with this. I think it was because like so much floor focus and like spikes and floor changing, and there just wasn't enough differentiation between the characters' outfits and the floors. Where it just got really confusing at some moments, but then there's other moments like that where those full panel where it just stands out how impressive and far along that his art has come, and not just like from a technical standpoint, but also his use of panels and how he's using the art to integrate the storytelling with it, with the paneling. I think that's something that mangaka really like either like know immediately how to do or like have to really figure out in their story how they're going to use it to tell, because it could be so simple, just like panel la di da da, but a really good mangaka, I feel, integrates their art into the paneling, if that makes sense, to sell the story. They use the panels as a part extension of the art itself instead of
Mm.
just like a definitive lines.
Yeah,
He does that
completely agree. And there were some really nice dynamic poses with those big moments where it took up the whole page or it crossed over to both pages. I think there were like at least 3 times I can recall, and I might have screenshotted them, but I'm too lazy to find them on my phone. But I was like, oh, that was really nice. And yeah, just his art gets better with each chapter that comes out. And I like it, at least as an artist, again, I can see the decision making behind the choices he makes. And sometimes, again, yeah, where it's not quite as clear, like you were saying, Aaron, where there's of course, he's on deadline too, so you can only
Sure.
do as
Yeah.
much as you're able to do
it's true.
within the time you're given. And what he is able to do is pretty amazing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we've definitely seen his art grow, and it continues to get better with each batch of chapters we have. So as an artist, that pleases me to see him growing and developing. And yeah, learning how to use the panels, because even earlier, his use of action and panels in the beginning, the mangaka, it was kind of confusing. And each time there's like another battle, I feel like he's still like working and figuring it out. And even that, seeing that process is interesting to read as subtext beyond the story, just the art form of manga itself. So yeah, good job on the art. Yeah, I just wasn't crazy about Chisaki's designs sometimes.
Yeah,
I did feel
I
like those
agree
were
with
the
that.
weak points.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Something about his art that I also really like is how he's not been afraid of using perspective and playing with stuff in the battles. Like it feels like his fights are so refreshing because they're not exactly the same every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's just there's adds so much depth and character, not just from the characters but the moves. Like everything is so integrated to like who is fighting in which battle. Like it's never just cookie cutter. Like he thinks about what their quirk is going to do and who faces who with which quirk and how it's going to affect everything. So it's just like he's got like tentacles going all over the place trying to figure out who's going to work and who in what battle and just things like that. And I think that just makes it like very thought out and intelligent, just speaks to his intelligence of knowing the characters and knowing what story he's aiming to tell. And so I think that's a very strong point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll say something that I've said about this manga probably at least a couple times. This manga is drawn in a way where like you can very easily tell how it's going to be animated. Like
Yeah.
it's drawn in a way where it would translate very easily to animation, and I think that's part of the reason why the anime itself looks so good, is because it's kind of like understood how it's like those movements are supposed to be conveyed, and the fact that he does toy with perspective in an interesting way, I feel like adds it makes it easier for the animators in terms of like, well, this is how the manga is supposed to convey the action, this is how we're supposed to shift perspective. Like there was again, I haven't seen the 3rd season, but I have seen the clip of Bakugo versus Deku 2, and that one scene where like the camera goes around them. Like you can kind of get a sense that something like that, while it's not inherently in the manga, like how it could be derived from the material in the manga. So like I overall, the art for this series is excellent, and it continues to improve. There are little gaps here and there, but considering how frequently it's published, we have a fucking
Oh, he's back for the end.
That scared me.
What a sweet boy.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, we can
Oh.
see you.
Pluto, get
Perfect.
all your feels out there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
dude, I have been sitting. This modem has been a blinking red light forever, and I've been so pissed because I've been watching you guys on my phone, and I was like, God damn, because the power, like, the entire neighborhood power just went off, and I looked out my window, everything was pitch black. I saw other
man.
people also with like their flashlights on their phone, like looking around. It came back within like 5 minutes, but then I've just been waiting for the internet to come back on the entire time, and I've been like,
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
but I'm
Get your
here.
feels
That's all
out.
that matters.
Get your feels out.
That's what matters.
Mirio's the greatest. Love him. Right before the internet came back, you guys were talking about panels and stuff like that, and I had to mention the Just the whole sequence where he protects Eri and like, you know, he's got this perfect power that makes him impervious, and you know he can dodge bullets and go through walls and all kind of stuff. I loved like it's such a perfect character trope of him to like choose to not be impervious for that moment, to like take that bullet for Eri and like also subsequently lose his entire like power. And then there's that like I really like how it takes a bit for like Deku to get there, and you only see the aftermath of like he has been fighting without a power for the past, you know, like 5 minutes or however long it takes Deku to get there. And so like you can only imagine like just how hard fought, like, you know, he is just, his costume is in tatters, he is bloody, he is impaled, he is like, you know, he just looks extremely bad, but you know that like that kind of a fight where like, you know, it's against all odds, he has no power, he's against these people that have these powers, and you know like the make of a hero like inside of him, right? Like at his core he's just like, I will protect, you know, anyone and anything. And it's just so cool. There's that, I forget what exact chapter it was on, it was in, I wanted to try to find it, but there's just that one panel of him standing in front of Eri with like the spike through him that's just like so good.
It was
Such a
it's
good
super good. I remember that
Yeah.
panel stuck out to me too.
And I mean I really just love just overall his design. Like I just love how he's so dopily drawn. Like his face is just so
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 like when he
stupid. Yeah, like whenever he first makes his appearance and he's like talking to Deku while he's taking out the trash like through the wall, and it's just like that dumb face you see. You're just like, what? Who is this goof, right?
Bread
But he ends
face.
up being just like so good. And then also I really enjoy I forget his actual name. I think his hero name is Sun Eater, like the
Yeah.
one of the other big threes.
Yes.
His best friend.
I really like him I really like him a lot too, for sure. They're all just great.
Yeah, Tintin is what I thought of too
Mirio-
as well.
I was gonna say Mirio, like his design reminds me of the Vault Boy from the Fallout series.
Yeah. He absolutely does.
Yeah, he just looks like Tintin to me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tenten, he does.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was intentional on the mangaka's part.
I don't know. He's got such a specific look that is not like anybody else in the manga, which was an interesting choice.
He sticks out for sure. Yeah, I just found it's chapter 152. It just says, you know, he comes up and he's like, you know, what has been doing this whole time? It's no, not fought, but protected to the bitter end. And he's just like impaled. His cape is fucked up. Ares behind him. Like, it's just so good.
I wonder what's gonna happen with her.
Mm.
Like what her story arc is gonna end up being. Like what they're gonna do. Because they're like, we'll take her to the hospital. I'm like, be careful.
Yeah.
Sweet. Do you guys have anything else you would like to bring up? Make sure we touch on. Otherwise, we can do final thoughts and ratings.
I'm good.
No, I'm good.
I'm sure you guys mentioned while I was gone, but I love how Eri let Deku go all out. Like her quirk is just such a perfect counterpoint to his weaknesses that he was just like, I can go 100%. And it's you guys were talking as well about the, you know, like sometimes the art was like a little bit confused. Like sometimes there was a lot going on, and like from the moment he kind of is able to go 100%, only a couple things happen, and so like, and then the fight's over, and so you don't get a full breadth of like what exactly he is going to be capable of at 100%. Which I don't know how much of that was like intentional to the point of like the mangaka wasn't able to convey exactly what was happening, or intentional to be like,
here's a taste.
It is so maybe like it is so powerful that like like no one really knew what happened in that point, right? Like it was almost intentionally left a little bit vague, where it's like, yeah, if Deku goes all out, I mean everything's on the table, right? And it's just like, who knows?
I just hope that she learns how to control her powers, because that was the issue at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the whole Elsa thing where she just gets so
Right.
emotionally involved that she's like, ah, it's out of control.
Yeah, thank God
And-
Eraser was there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank God. So that's what I hope at least we'll actually get some more character development, because like we were saying, the females didn't get that much attention in this round, and
Yeah.
so I would like her to also get some attention, because she's would be great to add to almost anyone. You could just pair her up with anyone and just see them go 100%, and that would be awesome. She got to learn how to work it. So it'd be cool if she could like somehow join the class even though she's a little kid, or somehow be involved with like the classroom. That would be awesome. I'd hate for her to just like be sidelined as well.
Right. They're like, here's this
Yeah.
kid with this insane power, and now we're shipping her off to America.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Be like, great, thanks for hyping us up. That's cool.
Please do some flashbacks with her thing. She'll come back all buff, and you're like, now we'll get the story."
finally.
Just
Yeah.
Finally,
20
the female character of
20
my
chapters
dreams.
of flashback.
Yeah,
She's
but,
like 6 foot.
Yeah.
I was also going to mention to Lou's point about some of the art and stuff like that is like I was having a conversation, I forget with whom, like a coworker or something, about reading the manga, ahead of the anime and stuff, and they're like, oh, it's kind of like spoilers and stuff, and I'm like, really, no, for me, because I love reading the manga like on a weekly basis, and all it does is make me so excited to see it animated.
Totally.
Right? It's like I have been knowing, United States of Smash is like coming for the longest time, right? And so it's like to see it animated is like the sweetest release. It's like, yes, like you have done it, right? And so the fact that the last thing we've seen in the anime is kind of Mirio kind of making his debut and obviously demolishing Class 1A. Like, I'm so excited about this season of the anime because I feel like, we're just gonna hit the ground running and like get right into this, which is, in my opinion, like one of the best arcs like in the entire manga, and I'm very, very, very excited to see Mirio animated, Sun Eater animated, Chisaki do his thing, Deku and Eri do their thing. Like, this is gonna be a really, really, really good season of anime.
Yeah. When is it coming out this fall?
Yeah,
October.
I believe so. October. Only a couple more months and we get it.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious how, like, because like I'm curious to see how far they're gonna go in the anime this season, right? Like, because like this is like such a heavy, big arc, and like I feel like it's just gonna be like half the season or something, right? Like, there's no way this is the entire season of the anime, even though like I almost wish it was, because they could just like spend so much time on many different things.
Right.
And I don't know if it's like a 12 or 24 episode season. I don't know if that's been confirmed anywhere, but this is going to be a great season of anime.
It's kind of like when they did the Stain arc last season.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my God, is this going to be like the entire season? Because so much happened in the Stain arc, but then they pared it down so well for the anime. Then it didn't feel like anything was left out. And I was like, oh, I guess in anime, it can go much faster.
That's right.
I could totally see this, the story from this section of reading being covered in 13 episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
I could see that.
But the other thing, and we mentioned this just before we started, but absolutely go watch the My Hero Academia movie as well. It is
We'll
damn
get on
good.
that.
It's on streaming, so you can go watch it on like Amazon Video or wherever. But it's a really, I don't usually like watch a bunch of like anime movies and stuff like that. Granted, this past year we've had both My Hero Academia movie and the Dragon Ball movie, which like were both stellar in my book. But the My Hero Academia movie has like just some ridiculously hype moments that like I absolutely loved, and I rewatched it on a plane recently, and then afterwards I like went to YouTube and just rewatched a couple scenes over and over and over and over again because I was like,
That
oh,
good.
it's so good, it's so good.
Aw.
You gotta watch
Awesome.
Well, that makes me more hyped to want to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. All right. Does anyone want to go first for final thoughts and ratings?
Oh gosh.
It's
Literally
good.
everybody
It's
just
good. We're just
All right,
savoring.
I'll go first.
chapters.
I'll go
Okay.
first.
Take it.
So I really enjoyed this section of reading. I feel like we got a nice complete story. You know, shout out to Dodger for telling us to read 2 more chapters.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, in terms of the overall development of the story, I feel like this was a break from the main story, because, you know, like, the Shigaraki was in, like, did make an appearance, but he wasn't a focal point. But this didn't necessarily feel like filler, because we got a lot of development between All Might and Deku, and kind of like seeing Deku dwell in his insecurities, and seeing him, like, not be overwhelmed by them, but try to fight against them to kind of prove his worth. Like, that was really gratifying. So overall, like, I genuinely enjoyed this section of reading. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. I would have given it a 10 if there weren't the few bits of just shitty art. Like, very, like a literal few. Like, this for the most part looked really good, but then then you have, you know, Night Eyes with giant fucking yaoi hands. Like, have you ever seen, like, a small child ever put on the Hulk mitts? Like, it was
Yeah.
bad. I was not a fan. But yeah, outside of those few grievances, 9 out of 10.
I think I would also give it a 9. Maybe a 9.5. I really, really like this arc. I really love Mirio as a character. And I loved that. I think this was one of the first times in the manga where we saw the same story being tackled from a bunch of different sides, all with, like, major characters. And I thought that was interesting. And while it did feel like we had so much, I don't want to say breathing room, that's definitely not the right word, but, like, there was like space in between figuring out, like, wait, but what's Kirishima doing? Wait, what's Deku doing? Right. I did like that everybody, that we had so many people who got to have a good moment. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And I think that there were some twisty things in there that were surprising and sad, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 too. I think, like, the whole, like, Yakuza thing was just a little bit, like, they villains didn't stand out next to the other villains we'd had so far, and they felt a little weaker. But everything else that, like, they were the catalyst for, I really dug. I thought was really awesome. There was a lot of the art that really stood out. Like, there was some that was like, hey, like Lou said, but there was also a lot that showed his improvement too. And I just really like the character arcs that we got to see this reading. And, like, the fights were really cool. They had a lot of emotional beats that they hit really well. A lot of the, like, really cool shit, this is an action scene beats that it hit really well. And I just cannot wait to see this section animated. So I think this is a 9.5. It is consistently a very highly graded manga, I think, and well deserved too.
I agree. Yeah, I think my rating, I think I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. To touch on what you guys have already said, because we got so many gratifying character moments, and I really appreciated how we did kind of get a little bit of a break between Bakugo versus Deku in the introduction of, like, the work study. And that's something I've enjoyed about this series, where we get, like, the academic side, and then we're hit in the face with the real world side. So I feel like this group of chapters captured that feeling again of, okay, here's academia, which is not the real world, and then we're going to transition into something that is very real world again, that is very deadly and dangerous with serious consequences. So I thought that did really well with that in the story in this section. And I think the introduction more into like the things that take away power, the serum, the threats, the new threats that's being built up. I'm looking forward to seeing how that gets played, especially with the League of Villains. So I thought that was set up really well. And yeah, we're just really cool character moments. Like several characters got really cool moments, especially with Kirishima, like where he hasn't gotten his moment. And it was so cool to get his moment and to learn more about Muriel and how cool he is. So I'm hoping we'll get more awesome moments like that with more awesome panels. But yeah, overall, super enjoyed all the action. 9 out of 10. Would recommend.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't read like a ton of manga, I would say, especially relative to a couple of you, right? That read a shit ton.
We don't
So,
like
like,
manga on here.
as far as like an arc and like a section is concerned for me, and all my other manga reading kind of taking into consideration, like this is like a 10 out of 10 section for me personally, because I really I love, like, I don't have another part of a manga that I've read that I can remember that like stuck with me as much as like Mirio and his character arc, and like the fights, and like like it's just so hype. It's just so hype to me, right? And I really, really, really enjoyed reading this section of the manga more than like I've enjoyed reading almost any other manga, except for maybe like I would also consider far up there like the first part of Promised Neverland, which we talked about. Like it's just like damn good art, right? And like I think this is for me is a damn good arc of an already damn good like manga and anime as well. So it just like it's so good. Mirio himself deserves 10. So I mean, I gotta give it to
That's totally fair.
Yeah. That's right. Well, we all definitely. Everybody went, right?
Yes.
Sorry, my brain is so fried.
Yes.
I don't remember like
Yes.
2 minutes ago.
You got baby brain.
I got baby and meta death brain right now. Learning like how to hit a deadline again. The two things that stand out most of like, wow, I am only thinking about my book was I made oatmeal, like the instant oatmeal, you know, but I didn't put any water in it, so I just microwaved.
That's
precious
That's very
Aaron.
good.
And it
That's
came
very
out,
good.
it was all stuck together. I was like, what happened?
That's very
And
Aaron.
then
I do wrong.
the
Aaron,
other
would you-
one.
would you like to feel better about that just for a second?
Yes.
All right. As you know, we have 3 children in this house, and
This is gonna make me
one
feel-
day, no, this is great. So one day, one of them got hungry and decided to make mac and cheese, and forgot to put. Was aware that you have to add water. Did not.
Oh no.
So the mac and cheese caught on fire in the microwave.
Nice.
So at least your oats didn't burn.
Oh,
My oats didn't burn.
Didn't catch fire.
Didn't
Yes.
burn. Oh my gosh.
Oh man, is this what we get to to look forward to as
Yeah.
our children?
Yes, yes.
Grow up.
Older, yeah.
Yep.
The threat
Right.
of
How to
your house
cook.
burning down constantly. And that you're gonna have to
Anything I'm
grapple
like
with.
not too concerned with. I feel like Elle is gonna just like want to burn everything down all the time.
Clark
I'm
can
just like,
reach doorknobs now.
That's terrifying. That's the word.
Is your house just hell?
Yep.
That's when it's so you're just like no.
We brought her into our bedroom while we were doing some stuff. She opened the door and then laughed, went to slam the door, and her fingers were still
Oh no.
were holding on to
Poor
the yeah.
Did she learn in the
Now
hard
she doesn't have
way?
fingers.
Sobbed. We were like,
Oh,
"Oh,
no.
sweetheart."
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah, Raphael can get in the fridge now, but which is kind of nice though, because he'll go get his milk on his own.
Oh, nice.
So I'm
Hell
like,
yeah.
that is
oh,
nice.
good. I just leave his milk on like the lower shelf.
yeah,
Like,
perfect.
I'll just hear the door open and then
Aw.
close, and I was like, oh, smart boy, saving mama some effort. But yeah, still, I worry the day he finds the matches or something, or can reach the microwave.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Guess we'll get there.
Oh. Oh yeah, the other the other thing that made me feel really stupid also has to do with the fridge. I lost my phone. I could not find my phone
Mhm.
anywhere. And like 20 minutes later, I finally was like, okay, mother-in-law, you need to call my phone. I don't know where it is. It's lost. I can't find it. And she called it, and I just hear my ringtone from the garage. It wasn't the inside fridge either. It was the garage fridge. I walk outside, I'm like, where is it coming from? And I
flex,
open up
but
the
okay.
fridge, and my phone is just in there. I'm like, how did it even get there? I don't
Yeah,
even
I'm trying to imagine a situation that would necessitate me to set my phone down in the fridge while I'm doing things in the
Yeah.
fridge, and I don't
Well,
think that's ever happened.
If you
Yeah.
to be
That's
fair,
special.
it's happened to me too.
Yes.
Because pajamas don't always have pockets.
Fair.
That's true.
Oh.
Maybe that's what I was doing. All right, I'm going to read the description for the manga that we're reading next week.
Oh my gosh.
And everybody
Oh my
gets to
God.
guess what it is. Lou is excited about this one. I'm
Fuck
excited
yes.
about this one, too. All right. In the early 20th century, Russo-Japanese war veteran Blank scratches out a meager existence during the post-war gold rush in the wilderness of Kaido. Oh god, I like choked as I was reading that one, so I stumbled over it.
Oh, they got it
When he
already.
stumbled-
Holy shit.
I know. When he stumbles across a map to a fortune and wait, somebody get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep reading.
In gold, he sets off a treacherous quest to find it. But Sugimoto is not the only interested party, and everyone who knows about the gold will kill to possess it. Faced with the harsh conditions of the northern wilderness, ruthless criminals, and rogue Japanese soldiers, Sugimoto will need all his skills and luck and the help of an Anu girl named Asirpa? Asirpa?
A Sirpa.
Yes. That's it.
Asirpa to survive. Golden
Ah.
Kamui.
I'm so
Ah.
excited.
Fuck yes.
I'm
I
excited.
love Golden Kamui.
I'm excited for that. We are going to be reading chapters 1 through Sony, 7 volumes 1 through 3.
Yeah.
And they honestly go by pretty fast. So if you're interested in joining us, I might just think that because I love it, and so I read it fast, but
Awesome. All right, let's go around and shout out our stuff super fast, shall we?
yeah.
I'm Erin of Happily Erin YouTube channel. MangaPods are hosted there. I haven't really posted any other anime review thing, but if you're interested in checking it out, I do have anime first impressions and reviews and top 11-ish lists. Currently, as I mentioned earlier, I'm working on a book, and so I just finished the new draft of that. Sent it off to an editor, so I'm very relieved. Otherwise, I'm very active on Twitter. If you want to come in, talk to me, and on Instagram, I love to chit chat, chat.
Hell yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Dodger. You can find me at Dex Bonus on pretty much everything, including Twitch. I stream every day. So if you would like to come and hang out with me, we can talk about more weeb shit off the clock. You know.
Yeah.
You'll technically be on the clock, though.
It's a technicality, Pluto.
Yeah.
God.
Mine is-
Go ahead, Lou. Go ahead, Lou. I was about to say,
It's
I
okay.
still need to catch my breath because we moved it. Our house is now like a 3-story townhome, and so anytime I have to run to the bottom
3
story, I have to go
stories.
down so many fucking stairs.
That makes
to
me
run back up.
tired just thinking about it.
It's the worst. But go ahead, Lou.
Well, my name is Lou. I occasionally, very, very rarely post content on my own personal YouTube channel. But what I've been doing lately is I've been streaming. So I've been playing some Yakuza 0.
Nice.
I
nice,
played
nice.
a little Hat in
Love that
Time,
game.
and most recently Katana Zero, which Katana Zero is an indie game. Came out a few weeks ago. Really fucking good. It's like Hotline Miami, but you're a samurai, and it's so like fucked up and twisted, and the gameplay is super, super satisfying. So I'm actually like, once I get off from here, I'm probably gonna stream a replay, a little bit of it for like an hour or so before I go to bed. But super, super fucking hype. I really love that game. If you want to talk to me on Twitter, just reach out to me at LuTalksAnime. And that's my stuff.
Excellent. I guess I'll go. Hello, I'm Miss Art. you can find me on my YouTube channel, where I haven't been terribly active because life and such, toddlerness, being an adult person. But if you like shonen stuff, I have a lot of things about Naruto, lots of videos, top fives, Boruto stuff over on my channel. I'm most active on my Twitter as well, at Artsy Alley, ARTSIALLI, where you can just hear my random mumblings about life and weeb stuff. Sometimes Star Wars. I do like Star Wars. So if you're into that, check me out. MissArt. And thank you guys for having me as a guest again. It was so fun talking about My Hero Academia with you all. Love you all.
Mwah.
My name's Pluto. That's a lot. I love Mirio, and I love tweeting about Mirio all the time. No, I don't do enough of that. Honestly, I should do more of that. Anyway, I work at Twitch, and you can follow me on Twitch at just Pluto, or Twitter at twitter.com/TwitchPluto. And yeah, this is My Hero Academia is one of my favorites, and I think we discussed this a little bit with Promised Neverland, which was another episode I was on, where I think part of my love for My Hero, and again, thank you so much for having me on for this specific segment, because it's the best segment, is being at the ground floor of something that's like potentially like the big three, like Aaron mentioned earlier, like the One Piece and the Bleach and the Naruto. I was very late to those games, and so I think My Hero is a really special one for me, because it feels like I'm at the beginning of one of those things, right? And it feels really cool. Like, I just recently caught up to One Piece, and I marathon 900 chapters of manga to catch up.
I'm
and
impressed.
it was ridiculous too. And I'm like glad to be caught up.
You don't read manga and you just read all of One Piece.
But that's like one manga, right?
He's also the one who
Ew.
got me to read Dr. Stone, and
Dr. Stone is also very good. Yeah.
You read
Promised
manga, my
Neverland's very
dude.
Just admit it. Accept it
Okay.
who you are.
Just own
He's
it.
a manga denier.
Yeah, this is an intervention or something. Pluto, look, we all care about you. You fucking read manga, you weeb. But yeah, My Hero is very special to me. So again, thank you so much for having me on. And such a weird way to find out I was going to be on, which was being tagged by Lou in a tweet saying like, next week we have
By the way,
MissArt and Pluto on. I'm
Well,
like, I'm on.
Pluto. To be
We
fair,
made up for that.
no. To be fair, when you were streaming on your channel and you were being Rory, and we started talking about the schedule because I was just hanging out in your chat, and you're like, "Oh, dude, you guys are doing this. I want to be on that." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna put you on the schedule."
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah,
it's
you
on
get
me for not like
fucking rad,
DMing
you
you
stupid
saying,
weeb.
"Hey, by the way,
You're
like
on
this
the
is a thing that we
schedule.
said we were gonna do."
Yeah. No, but this was awesome, and I'm honored to be invited. And let me know if you guys need someone else at some point in time, because it's always a blast. It's always fun.
Brad, whenever you want, dude. You're awesome.
I got you.
Yay.
Always welcome on here, dude.
Yes, it was fun being another guest with you, Pluto. Yay, making
Sorry
more
about my-
Such a
friends.
blissfully full house.
Yeah.
My heart is full.
Sorry about my power
Oh,
outage too.
Not,
Nothing I can do about that, but
we're good. We're good.
You're all good.
Mhm.
All good. And thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate you guys watching. If you would like more MangaPod, we have a subreddit, reddit.com/r/MangaPod. You can find the schedule for all this upcoming stuff that we're going to be reading, as well as a recommendation thread if there's a manga you would like us to check out, or a manhwa or web comic, anything. We're pretty open. If you'd like to recommend us something, we have a recommendation thread. Go ahead and post it there. If it's already there, go ahead and upvote it. We will be here same time, same place next week, talking about Golden
Kamui.
Kamui. I always feel like I'm doing so good, and then my mouth just stops working for
It's
1
okay.
second. It throws me off.
You're
You
endearing
just met
and
a
wonderful.
deadline. It's okay.
Left my phone in my fridge. That's all you need to know about me. Chapters 1 through 27. We will see you guys next week.
Bye
Bye.
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 Bye bye.
I-
Bye.